Next up, a woman who needs no introduction, 2009 ACTFL National Language Teacher of the Year, Toni Theisen.
Thank you. It's very interesting when we had a chance to choose these toy talks. Basically, we could choose our topic that we wanted, something that inspired us or really was impacting us or making us feel sad or nervous. And it's very interesting how what Lisa is talking about and what I'm talking about parallels in some sense. So I'm talking a little bit about listening to the voices of teachers and students. Quite often when we talk about this, we put all the work on teachers. Who's listening to the voice of teachers so they can better listen to the voice of students? Now I'm going to start off with a story about Bison. You're going, what does this have to do with this? Well, you know, a bison. You see a bison. Look at this majestic animal. Perseverance, stability, strength. In harmony and balance with nature. But our poor bison have gone through a lot. Just like teachers and students have gone for a lot. But in my area, close to my university, what they've been working on for a long time is taking these bison and very carefully nurturing and taking care of them so they have a pure strain of bison. Not mixed with buffalo, not mixed with hamburgers, but a way for the bison so they can exist the way they should be able to exist, in liberty and harmony with nature. So just about a month ago, this wonderful herd of bison was released in the open prairie. We got to see the videos of this. Here you have this majestic herd out and about, just patting their feet on the ground and saying, yes, we're back. We feel so wonderful. And I started thinking a little bit about this. How does this idea of bison and their harmony and their strife represent what's happening with us in education? I started to look. Do you feel this way? Because we got to acknowledge that the world is so hectic. You know, we're asked to jump on bandwagons every time we turn around. We have no time to breathe. We have no time for reflection. We have no time for mindfulness. We feel that way. And we feel frustrated by that. But we know that we can kind of move on and work with that. So what about this balance for teacher? Well, here's the reality of some of these teachers are tired and stressed. I mean, how often do you hear teachers say, I need a 6-hour nap before I go to bed? And you know what, it's not that they don't love their job and they love their career, but lots of times we can't even get to some of this. I mean, we're looking at types of things that are happening, where what you have to do, constantly filling out paperwork. Okay? You never know this system of educator effectiveness, what's going to change next, right? You're never going to know what you have to do because you can't teach your class because now you have to practice for the English language test and the math test so they do well. And then, of course, what is happening, like Lisa said, our curricular areas are being cut because they need more money to work with these other pieces because scores are everything. When we really know how much language has an impact in these children's life and they want to be there. You look at those statistics, very similar to what we were talking about with Lisa. But you know what? We can look at these and say, oh my God, we'll never survive. Or we can find a path to help out our teachers. This is really sad. Look at this. There's a Pinterest site. Teacher tired. And of course there's memes to kind of laugh through this, but you know, you see some things, how to survive as an introverted teacher. This is kind of sad. I mean, you go to look at this whole pin and what's really going on, you're going, oh my goodness. And this is what teachers feel like. They can't get back in balance. All the rocks fall off and they roll down the hill and there is no way to put them all back together. Okay? And that's that feeling of frustration that many of us have. So what about these students? They're not doing any better. Tired, they're just tired. Right. Well, we know what they're going through, right? For example, they have a lot of meaningless work. They're dealing with all these grades and numbers that Nicole was talking about. And they also feel this. They feel this, that really, that schools and teachers don't want them to let them be what they want to be. What they hear is, what your culture says, what society says is that you need to take these classes and you need to go into this career. You need to be productive citizens for the global economy. Oh my goodness. What happened to the fact that how come they can't be contributing members of a global community where their talents, gifts, and abilities are honored and respected? We already hear some people say, don't be philosophers, be welders. Well, we could be French-speaking welders too, that's fine. So these students are really suffering from all of this. So, they're in the same place. The rock's rolling down the hill, and you feel this way, and lots of times in school you're going, how can I stop this? What do we want to do? Come into my world of language, and we'll try to cover that up a bit. So what does that teacher need? What does that teacher need a little bit? Okay? Well, that teacher wants to be heard. Please listen to me. Can I have a little my autonomy back? Okay? I'm really doing really wonderful things. No, I'm not a core class, a math or a language art, but look what I'm doing. We really should be the center of the curriculum because we're teaching everything. Why don't you let me have that respect? Why don't you let me work with my students and talk to them? That's what they want. They want that feeling of bringing that all back together. They need that respect. But respect is more than just give me respect. I'm going to show you that I can do all these things. What about our students? Well, our students. Have you ever thought about this with students? We set high expectations for students. Schools set high expectations for students. But you ever thought about that students have rules of engagement about how to set high expectations that they have of their school? This is their voice. Look at some of these words: relationship, play, authenticity, time and timing, application, challenge. Look at some of these wonderful questions that follow this. For example, with play, do I have opportunities to explore? Can I make some mistakes? And by the way, teacher, would you coach me so I can find other people to be with and learn about it? Come on, I want you to do that. How about relationships? Hey, do you know about me? Do you care about me? And that's one of the big ones. And really, can you hook me up with other people in the building? Can you hook me up with my peers? Can you hook me up with my community? Relevance. My goodness. Will I find any relevance of what I'm doing when I choose my career? Are you going to give me some more choices? Here's one: time. Do I have time to learn deeper than this? Or are we just going to keep marching on this one, this unit, this exercise, this activity, and I'm lost and I really like this one? Can I have some time? And my timing, do I have to do this the same time as everybody else? And are you challenging me enough and giving me that voice and chance to learn on my own? So if you take a look at these, I think that's, there we go. Left and right. Some of you, my friends, know that bothers me a lot. But look at this. You yourself think, what is happening in your classroom? What is happening in your school where these are part of this? You may not be thinking that I do this, but I bet you are. Think about each time that you can bring in this type of voice. This is the voice. These are the rules of engagement. These are the 10 high expectations that students have for their learning. And remember that the teachers want that autonomy and they want to work with students. So what does all of that mean? Well, it kind of means this. It kind of means, how are we going to bring students and teachers, learners and teachers together so they feel honored, respected, and can carry on? And all those things about feeling tired and rocks rolling down the hill, we can kind of set that aside a little bit and be joyful and be powerful. We can capture that energy of that bison stampeding out and in joyful march. Teachers, one of the things that they really, really need the most, according to a lot of things we read, is they want opportunities to collaborate together. Real collaboration. I just don't want to sit with you and look at data and think about how cool this is. I want to sit with you and go, what are our children, what are our students thinking about? What am I thinking about? How can I create things for them and with them that'll be meaningful? For example, one of the experiences I've just had recently has to do with the tragic events that happened in Paris. All of a sudden on Saturday morning, through all kinds of social media, there are hundreds of things that are popping up on Facebook, on Twitter, on all kinds of social media. So what happens? French teachers all over the country and probably other parts of the world are taking those resources, building activities, working together. And it wasn't just to get those activities like this. It was to say, let's stop. How will this affect our students? Will they be okay? Will they learn something about engagement? Is this too much? So it's that it was really meaningful collaboration in an awful, awful time. But by the end of the weekend, there were hundreds of activities that were connected to videos and speeches and books and art projects, all of this that French teachers all over collaborated in a meaningful, important piece to help children figure out what this meant and what in the world. So another part was this. What about students? Well, of course, one of the things we can always do, that we do best, is connect them to the world. And they want to have that connection, but they also want, for sure, that you know about them, and you have time to have relationships. And I know what your interests are. They know what my interests are. Who does that better than language teachers? We have these wonderful opportunities to do that. So that's very important. And they want to have a chance to let you know about that. Another piece that came out of this Paris tragedy was a colleague of mine who teaches in a school in Nebraska. And he said, on Monday morning, a lot of notes were sent out to all the teachers saying, best of luck as we do this. Let's, reflect afterwards, and kind of giving everybody support. He stopped to say this. I went into school that day ready, knowing that my friends in Paris were safe, and I was going to help students understand this. By the end of the day, he said this is what happened. It happened in Nebraska with 3 of his students. One of his students, they had a family friend in Paris that lived in that area. Another student had a cousin who was injured as they ran away from the stadium. And a third one, sadly, was an Italian exchange student who lost one of her friends in the nightclub. That happened in Nebraska. That changes how you connect and listen to the voice of the students and listen to your voice to piece that together to make it better. So when we put all these voice ideas together, really, what does it mean? It says this. At the end, what is so very important is really putting together a caring community. A community where everyone is learning and sharing. Students have choice to explore. They can tell you what they need, all of these wonderful types of things. And when we take this idea of creating a caring community, we find that inner strength and perseverance so we can really connect to the harmony and balance of our bison. Thank you.